Hello. Um, I'm about to do a live show. Let me do the countdown and give it enough time for y'all to get in here. And then I'll bring you my special guest. He's a Seahawks fan. Oh, that's not the right one. There we go. Let me see. And then I'll bring him in. Okay. There we go. Still haven't had nobody come in yet. I know I'm a little early. I'm 1 minute early, but come on, my people, where are you? um, okay, today is Friday, the 17th, and getting ready to bring my special guest up. Um, so please come in. If you like to ask some questions, feel free to do. And make sure you hit that like, thumbs up button. And if you're new, subscribe to my channel. Um, Come on, where's some black people? Come on, people. I'm here. I'm here. Guess I go ahead and get started. If they come in, they come in. They don't, you can watch the replay of this. Here's one person then. Okay, here we go. My man, he's a Seattle Seahawks fan. And here we go. The Hawk.
How's it going?
Hi, how you doing?
I'm doing good for a Friday night. A little bit of
Yeah.
snow flying outside, but
Yeah.
you know how she goes.
This is my man. He's a 49er fan named Brian Cup. He made, I don't have it. He made me this hat that says Corey Davis on it.
Nice.
And he made me a coffee cup that's 49ers on it.
Oh, awesome, man. Well, hello, Brian. How's it going? Cheers,
Um,
man.
as you can see, his background, Brian, he's our enemy. He's a Seahawks fan.
Yeah,
And
when you're on the west side, there's always an enemy
yeah.
in the NFC West.
Um, okay, so what's your name and what social medias they can find you if they wanted to follow you?
Well, I go as the Hawk here. Name's Jeff. I'm on Facebook under JC Bezruhawk. We run a couple podcasts of our own, but we do multiple sports. We look at baseball, hockey, football. That's the JC and Bill Sportscast, and then we also run another one, the history and legacy of sports. We kind of look at the history of games, championships, seasons, failures, things like that. That's where I can be pretty much found. The real Bezerhawk on Twitter. So it's all on the JC and Bill Sportscast page that we do public for Facebook. We put polls up, things like that on different sports. So
I respect the Seahawks. They have had the Niners since they came into the NFC West.
yeah, 2002, I think
Yeah.
9 divisions, 3 NFC championships, 1 Super Bowl, 15 playoff appearances since they made it over to the West from the AFC West. So
So I already said your name of your team, but what is your NFL team and how long have you been a fan of your team? and how did you become a fan of your team?
Well, obviously, Seahawks fan here. Live in Canada, live in Alberta, so we're kind of on that cusp of where everything ran through Seattle. So back in the early '80s, I was born in '78, about '83, '84. You started seeing some games on TV, read the newspaper. They always had the Seahawks on the pages for the sports down there, things like that. And you just kind of follow through. Same with the Beast. People from Alberta usually stick to the Seahawks, but I mean, numerous of my friends or teams all over America for the NFL. But that's how I started years and years ago. Like I said, when they were in the AFC West is when I started really following them, and then they moved over to the NFC West after they did some realignment and expansions, and so I've been going strong for almost got to be close to 40 years now, watching them. So,
Okay. Are you the only sibling that is in your is a CL fan, or
yeah, so my sister cheers for the Miami Dolphins. Don't know why. I mean, hey, I guess if that's the way you want to go. Me and my dad, we do cheer for the Seahawks. My mom doesn't really do any kind of sports, so it's just me and my dad. And like I said, they're over there. Cheers for the Miami Dolphins. So good on here. They had a good year this year, right? Made the playoffs. So all in all, good year for the Hawk household there for playoffs and the teams.
okay? And I saw pictures of your wife is a Seahawks fan, right?
She kind of just hangs out and watches sometimes, but it's sports isn't her forte as much as it's mine. But she'll go to games and things, or she'll watch in the garage if it's going on, or something along that line. Maybe a Thursday night game or something. We'll watch in the house. So we got married in Seahawk jerseys, so there's that.
Okay. What is your greatest game you ever saw that stuck out to you?
Well, obviously Super Bowls are always up there, but the other one I would be the year after when they played the Packers in the AFC Championship, where the Seahawks were down. Looked like it was over, and they came back, won it in overtime. And that really stands out, especially when you had Rodgers there. Wilson threw 5 picks, and he ends up throwing a dime to Curse in the end zone to win that game, and they end off going over to the Super Bowl, right? Going for a back-to-back championship when unfortunately they never won. But that game really sticks out. I mean, you have the 2006 Super Bowl, the Pittsburgh Steelers, another one, and then just random games throughout the regular season. I mean, you get those classics there's one where the Houston, Texas Seahawks were playing where it was back and forth between Watson as a rookie and Wilson. So, but I'd say the Packers is definitely right up there, right behind obviously the Super Bowl win that they had. I mean, we'll never forget that comeback. So,
Okay. Did you ever play football or coached it or any other sports? And what is your favorite sports?
mostly played baseball and competitive. That is my favorite sport is baseball. I mean, growing up, right, we had the Blue Jays here. It was cheap to get a glove. You went played, and I'm still playing today in softball, slow pitch, things like that. Really never got into competitive football, just where I lived and stuff like that. I mean, we played on the schoolyards and flag football, things like that. But baseball is number one in my books, and then football, then hockey. So I'm a diehard baseball fan, anyways.
If you played football for the Seahawks, what position would you play?
I think I'd have to go to the route of the corner or the safety. I'm a smaller guy, so it's I'm not in the trenches, that's for sure. Maybe a wide receiver, but I think I'd be better on the defensive side of that game where you can hit guys, try to make plays, try to do things like that. Especially my age, where it would have been there was hardly as many rules as there is today, right? You can definitely get a lot more things back then. You were expected to hit, things like that. So Definitely on the defensive side of the ball, in that back end.
I know we went over some things most, but this was what you just answered. How do you feel about the rules of this league now than back then?
Well, I mean, you got two ways to look at it. I mean, obviously, you want players, you want the safety aspect of it, right? You want to protect your players nowadays, especially because we've learned so much through medicine. We've seen guys get hurt severely. You've seen, suicides, things like that, unexpected deaths. So trying to clean up the game. I think some of the rules have gone a little too far. I mean, it's a rough sport, right? We're expecting the hits. I mean, hitting a defensive player, my books. I mean, we all remember the Antonio Brown hit by Burfict. That really, I think, derailed Brown's career. I mean, he just kind of went goofy afterwards, right? You got to get rid of hits like that. But the same part, we got a player, right? I mean, they're holding a guy on the other side of the line that has no effect to the play, and now you got a new set of downs. I mean, it could change the whole aspect of the game, right? Especially coming down late in the fourth quarter, you might think you got a big stop and there's a hold. So, I mean, I get it's geared for offense, but I mean, nothing wrong with good defensive battle, right? Guys going back and forth in the trenches, right? And it's, but I mean, I'm a lot older school, so.
Me too. I'm used. I'm used to those big hits and stuff. Yeah, we do need to protect the players, but sometimes I say these players, they know what they suiting up for. They know what they getting into.
Yep. I mean, it's signed right in their contract, right? That, I mean, any professional sports, I mean, there's a chance. I mean, right? Baseball's pitchers, right? They take line drives up the middle. It's something that, you're aware of. I mean, how do you stop that? You can't, right? You can't tell guys that they can't go middle in baseball. I mean, you're going to hit the ball when the ball comes. I mean, it's coming at you at 99 miles per hour. You're swinging, right? Especially two strikes. You're just trying to fill the play. So, I mean, it is what it is, right? I mean, obviously we saw some unfortunate incidents this past year, but, overall we want to keep the players safe. But, I mean, we got to also let them play. I mean, too many rules. Then the refs get confused, fans get confused, announcers get confused.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we don't know what some penalties are, what isn't, and it's, and then you get people saying the games are rigged and that, and it just becomes a total nightmare, And every rule we have is because of a situation. Either some team was getting away with advantage, right, or protecting quarterbacks after Aaron Rodgers got taken down, dislocated his shoulder, right? It's just the way it is, right? Obviously, I guess they don't want $50 million sitting on the bench hurt unless you can protect them. So,
yeah. How many Super Bowls have the Seahawks won? And did you watch it?
Yeah, so they're 1-3 1-2 in the Super Bowls, right? Made 3 appearances. I think 2006 against the Steelers, they lost 20 something to 10. I remember watching that one. It was, I think Pittsburgh won all their games. It was a wild card team coming in, won all their games. And so, I mean, obviously disappointed. Then I watched the ones where they absolutely buried the number one offense, as they had the number one defense in the Broncos. And I mean, and to me, that's my biggest rival is the Denver Broncos. It always has been from the AFC West days. And so, I mean, to beat a rival like that in the biggest game of football, it's pretty amazing. And then the following year, obviously, we know about trying to get Russell Wilson, I think, an MVP, throwing that pass to Butler, which they should have let Marshawn run the ball. It's to this day, right? We can laugh about, joke about it, but I mean, it is what it is, right? So, but yeah, I've seen all the championship games. I make sure I take the time off from work.
Yeah. Listen, why do you think they didn't hand Marshawn Lynch the ball?
I mean, there's a lot of theories. One, maybe they didn't want him to be the MVP of the Super Bowl. I mean, if he gets that second touchdown, maybe you're looking at him as the MVP, right? And maybe they want to give it to Russell Wilson. I don't know why. It's something that, I mean, people try to try to shove in my face. I'm like, I didn't play for them. I didn't make the decision, right? I cheer for this team. If they lose, they lose. They win, they win. You know, I go on to the next sport. I go home. I drink another beer, right? It's not nothing I can do, right? So,
Yeah.
but it is weird that they didn't. I mean, we'll never find out probably why either. So,
And before I go to Brian, this like my theory was too that they didn't want Marshawn Lynch to get the MVP because
yep,
what he's gonna do? They're gonna want to talk to him about it to the press, but he gonna go there. I'm just here to not to get fined.
yep,
I'm just here. He gonna avoid the press, and
yeah.
they
And I
got
mean,
Russell Wilson gonna put his face out there and say things and do
yep.
things.
And I mean, the Patriots are going to allow Lynch just to walk in there, right? So, I mean, there's a lot of theories. It is what it is. I mean, you know, I think if they would have won that, we might have seen maybe one more, but it kind of killed everything. And then they kind of went back and had to kind of restart over, right? Retool instead of rebuild. So,
Yeah. Okay, Brian Cup asked a question. What do you think of this? Even though I'm probably going to answer that question later, but what do you think of the Seahawks schedule next season?
well, I mean, obviously, right, you got the NFC West. I know we got I think the AFC North. Forget if we got the South or who we got for the other division there, right? Plus the second place teams. So I mean, it's going to be a battle. I think I can't remember if it's the NFC East. I haven't really paid too much attention to that one. But I mean, if it's the NFC East, I mean, it's going to be a battle all the way between right. I mean, you got four good teams coming up in the NFC East. I mean, if it's the NFC North, I mean, beside the Lions, you have the Vikings. I mean, to me, they're not as impressive what everyone thought they were. And then you have the Packers probably looking for a new quarterback. And then you just have the Bears. You know, so I mean, you'd be going up against the Cowboys anyways as the number 2 team, and I think the Carolina Panthers as the number 2 team over in the NFC South. So I mean, they have a tougher schedule. I mean, especially playing the AFC North. I think you're going to Cincy this year, so it's going to be. I mean, it is what it is, right? It's going to be a battle. I mean, you know, all the NFC West has to pretty much play it. I think they also get the Titans or something in that extra game that they have set up this year. So,
Brian Cup says 1 and 2, 1, 2, 2. He also says Pittsburgh, Denver, New England. Corey LOL facts. I think he's talking about my Marshawn Lynch comment. The touchdown thing. This is no border sports. Now, by looking at you, who you think he's a fan of?
well, I see green, so must be the Seahawks. Hopefully,
Nope. He's a 49.
action green.
He's probably
Well,
gonna
then
be mad at that now.
yeah.
What?
Well, he's got action. He's got action green there. So I mean, you know, I got action green full of beer.
He probably say, no, Corey, why you put that question on there? Why you ask that Corey? He gonna probably kill me.
Well, now the colors will change here soon. So
And then he said, "What's up, Brian?" And Brian said, "What's up, Ryan?" That's his name, Ryan. But
nice to meet you, Ryan.
he has this show called No Border Sports.
I'll have to check it out.
Bang bang, not a gang. And here's my man, David McNina. What's up, David McNina? Okay.
David?
Okay. Now, what 4 Seattle Seahawks players would you put on Mountain Rushmore? Past players, you do four past players or uh, four current players.
So just four, right?
Yep.
Well, obviously, Ego Largent. I mean, the guy was a beast as a wide receiver back then. I mean, I remember watching the highlights of when he took that hit from the Denver Broncos, pretty much knocked him out cold. He came back, knocked the guy out who hit him, grabbed the ball. So obviously, he'd be number one. Then you start looking at guys like, oh, I would say, I would, I know that's a tough one because we've had a run and ground and pound game pretty much our whole lives, right? So, I mean, you could throw Sean Alexander in there as rushing champ, right? He led him to the Super Bowl in 2006, right? MVP. Number three, I would put up as a as a quartet or whatever they call it, quartets, is the Legion of Boom, right? They can have their own. I mean, they definitely, without them, I don't think we get anywhere near what the success we had. I mean, those guys covering downfield, you had time for the pass rushers to do what they had to do to get in there quick. And I mean, it was definitely a different time with football back just even like 2012, 2013 when they came in there. And number four, I'm actually going to go off the board without a player. And I'm actually going to go to Paul Allen, who, after the Seahawks decided they're going to do a move to Anaheim, they got forced to come back, and Paul Allen came, bought them, saved them, built the new stadium, and kept them in Seattle so that we could sit there and enjoy the rivalry that we have to this day, right? Enjoy the great sport there in that Pacific Northwest. So, but I mean, you could put in a ton of players, right? You could put in Wilson for winning it, as the best quarterback they had as the Seahawks. But that's who I would go.
Okay, No Border Sports said I live in Mount Vernon. Also Brian Cup, David McNana, what's up, man? Jeff Blotch, hey, if you knew, I don't remember ever seeing you in my chats. Could you please hit that like button and subscribe to my channels? Make sure everybody hit that like button if you're enjoying the show.
Yep.
No Border Sports says, what's up, David? Brian, what's up, buddy? Jeff Blotch, what's up, man? Everybody's speaking to each other.
Yep. So everybody's saying hi to everybody.
And if y'all have any questions, feel free to ask.
Yeah, there's Cortez Kenny. I mean, there's Walter Jones. I mean, there's a ton of guys. I mean, you could even throw Marshawn Lynch in there for even what he did. I mean, it's, the Mount Rushmore debate, always going to be a debate of what you have, what you've seen, right? Things that maybe change the game a bit. I mean, I imagine the Niners, you could have a ton of guys on the Niners. I mean, besides obviously Rice and probably Montana,
Yeah.
Um,
And Brian Coe said Alexander was very dominant, underrated, in my opinion.
Oh, he was, man. He was. I mean, that guy ran the ball all the time, and I mean, they weren't known for throwing the ball ever in Seattle. So we really got Wilson, and even then, right, you're still trying to run the game. They always wanted to run. They always had a run game. Run game and defenses that hit hard is what was known for Seattle, especially with the weather up there, right? You're not going to have a guy try to chuck 5,000-6,000 yards when you get nothing but rain and precipitation up there. So, you got to play your elements as well. I do agree. Alexander he was. I mean, I love watching him play. It was fun to watch.
Jeff, I want to ask you a question, Jeff. Who's your team? Okay. Who's your favorite Seahawk kicker?
Ooh.
Brian is a special team. He loves
I'd say.
special
I mean,
teams.
you always have to love the Canadian John Ryan. I mean, the guy's got a pass rate of what? It's like 1,000% there when he threw that fake ball against the Packers there. But I mean, gotta stay true to my words. Since he's Canadian, man, love the way Ryan played. He played there for years, so I'll take Ryan as my favorite kicker. Though Myers isn't bad. I mean, we got the guy now, Dickerson. That guy can boom the ball, right? I mean, nowadays it's about changing the field, right? I mean, you're down to the 10, 15, 20-yard line, and you want to flip that field, right? You need a guy who's got a big leg, and they're just kicking more and more longer, they're kicking longer and longer, so it's fun to watch, right? I mean, the old days of you being pinned back and maybe getting the ball at the 40, 35, 40, I think are long gone, unless you're in some bad elements.
Okay, no where it says Seahawks even had Rice and they got into the playoffs and threw the last pass to D Jack instead of Rice.
Yeah, I think that was a one-year experiment to bring Rice at the end of his career.
Yeah.
So
Jeff Block said, I miss the stick, Ryan. He must be a 49er fan. I am.
yeah, good old candlestick where the wind would blow right through. I mean,
Yep. Okay. Now, number 9. If you was the GM of the Seahawks, what player or position you would look for doing a free agents and draft, and how do you feel about your coach?
all the GM, you definitely need to go with edge rusher. Try to get, we didn't put no pressure on the quarterbacks as much as we should have. We have some good young guys on the back end there, but you definitely got to go pass rush. Their defense was suspect until they got to the red zone. They seem to shut down a lot of teams, but I'm definitely going pass rush now. If Jalen there falls to 5, you pick him. If not, maybe you trade out a bit unless you have another player that you want to go after. It all depends on if they re-sign Geno Smith, what happens there. But yeah, definitely got to go pass rush. I know another thing too is you definitely shore up that offensive line a bit. You got to go for another guard. I mean, we've got 2 rookie tackles that played phenomenal last year. Right, you got Lewis out there, so they need a guard and center, shore up that offensive line. And that's where I'd go with the draft. Maybe go after Cameron Jordan out of the Saints as a veteran to kind of get the young guys kind of show it how it's done. I mean, you can never have too many old guys there that have been in the league long enough to know what to do. As for our coach, I mean, hey man, you can't complain about Pete Carroll. He took a team that everyone thought would be even last in the league and took them to the playoffs. I mean, the guy's he lets his players be players, right? They have their own locker room situation, right? They do what they want to do. They're outspoken, and he just goes in there. He's enthusiastic about what he does. He's always positive, right? You don't see him getting mad. You don't see him when you guys had Jim there, he's breaking cardboard or clipboards and, kind of, you think that wears on players after a while, right? So I got no complaints with Pete Carroll, and I mean, he's going to retire as Seahawks coach, and I mean, he's going to make the Ring of Honor.
Okay. KJ, thank you, Brian. Got it. Okay, never mind. He got it. He was looking for the like button, and Brian
Perfect.
showed him where it was. So he said he got it. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Brian. Where was I? Okay. Number 10. How did you feel about Russell Wilson trade before it happened and after it happened? And, how do you feel about it now?
Well, I mean, right now you can't complain with what the season went and getting the 5th overall pick from Denver. Plus, you got the 9th pick, I believe, last year. You got the, drafting offensive lineman. I mean, Russell goes and we start drafting linemen to protect our quarterback and our running game. I mean, when he got traded, it was kind of, you knew he was on his way out. It kind of was, I think, 1 year too long. I mean, he wanted out. I think he wanted more responsibility to let him cook, to do what he can do. I mean, you watched him for years. I watched him for years. He was magic when he did. But I mean, at the end of the time, he wanted out. Unlike where Wagner wanted to stay, but he got released. So it was, I mean, at the time, it was like, okay, you're gone, right? It's going to hurt. I thought it was going to hurt, right? But I mean, at the end of the day, I'm happy with the way it was. I mean, he went to Denver. I mean, I think he's going to have a good year this year, right? I've always liked Wilson. I got a jersey of his, right? I mean, he definitely helped put Seattle on the map for this last decade, pretty much. So, and where he got drafted in the third round, took out I think it was Matt Flynn right off the hop, because Matt Flynn signed a contract that year to come over from Green Bay. And Wilson won the job, and he didn't look back. But his time was up. He wanted out. I think him and Carroll are butting heads. And obviously, at the time, like I said, it was kind of a shock, but you knew it was coming. And now, I mean, Seattle could benefit. I mean, they don't even have to really rebuild now. They're a couple seasons ahead as far as I know. If they can hit a home run on this draft, look out, man. It's I mean, it could be that the Seahawks are windows open up for another 4, 5, 6 years. So I mean, it's definitely helped them.
Okay. Let me see. It was something I was thinking of when you was talking. Nah, I can't think of it. It went out of my mind.
Yeah, he'll come back after the show's over. It always does.
Yes, it was. Oh, I know it was. Did you feel like that Seattle was gonna have because I know a lot of other Seahawks fans that I talked to or seen comments from them, they thought that Seattle was gonna tank this year. I mean, tank last season. Did you feel that way?
I didn't think they would tank as much. I mean, you still have the professionals out there. I mean, you still have DK Metcalf. You have Lockett right on the back end. You had Jamal Adams. You had Diggs out there. But was I expecting what they had? No, I was expecting. I've been happy with 6 wins. I mean, we saw what Geno did with the Jets, but I mean, he learned behind. I think he learned behind Manning, learned behind Rivers, learned behind Wilson, got the chance, and I mean, it was a surprise to everybody as far as I'm concerned. I mean, but I mean, if they only won 6 games, would I been surprised? No, I wouldn't have been. I mean, we didn't know what they were coming into. I mean, they had a lot of youth in there. I mean, they had Penny re-signed. Chris Carson had to retire. And then you got Kenneth Walker that they drafted. It's tough, right? But they had 2 rookie offensive linemen that they drafted that they were going to start. I mean, we've seen what happens with offensive rookie, especially in the NFC West, when you got 3 dominant defenses going up against you in 6, with the Niners, Rams, and the Cardinals. And I mean, they held up. So happy with the way it was. And, hopefully they can rebuild this year or build on what they had from last year. And I mean, obviously football, you got a few injuries here or there, something happens. I mean, the whole season can change in a hurry. It's all about depth and what you have and what you can sign and things like that. So,
Brian says Seattle Stadium is very loud. Do you miss the old stadium, the Kingdom?
I never made it to the Kingdom. As like I say, living in Canada, I've been to 2 games, both in the new stadium. But I mean, it was loud when I was there for the 2 games, and the Hawks Nest on one and on the goal line on the other. But I mean, Kingdom had its own unique. Talking to other fans, had its own unique personality. It was loud there. Obviously, they built the new stadium to to help with that noise, with the way the acoustics come in there. If you ever watch, I think they had some YouTube videos of how they got designed so the noise can kind of bounce in and out and keep it loud like the Kingdome. But I mean, hey man, I miss all the old stadiums. All the old stadiums had character. You know, I mean, I'll go as far as saying when the Chicago Blackhawks had their own barn there where they were staying on top of you and it was loud and noisy. You know, so now you got the new stadiums. It feels more like you're in just a luxury office or something along that line instead of actually being there for the game and, you know, on those hard seats or whatever it was that they had there. So, but I mean, they also played baseball in that, and a lot of the football stadiums also had baseball stadiums too. So, I mean, now everything's kind of built to its own professional sport. But I mean, yeah, I do miss the old stadiums. I mean, they had personnel. They had the personnel of the teams that were playing, you know?
Yeah. Jeff, I know you asked Brian this, but I don't think Lamar Jackson will come to the 49ers because he want money. And Niners came forward to pay him that type of money. They looking to sign Brian. Our defensive lineman, Nick Bosa. So I don't think he's capable unless he wanted to go on a friendly deal. Then they might.
Now, the only way you're getting Lamar is if you franchise tag him, trade him off, or do something along that line. I mean, unless you trade him, that's the only way that you're going to. That's the only way I think he's going to go. I mean, he is going to get franchised, but whether he accepts a tag or not, I guess we'll see what happens. I mean, a lot of money involved in that one. And I mean, you guys and Purdy looked pretty good. I mean, the guy's under a rookie contract. I mean, look at Burrows, right? He's under a rookie contract, and you can do so much more with that extra money. You can build around for 3 years, I guess, for him because he's not a first-year round, right? So you don't have that fifth-year option. So got him for 3 more years, right? I think Jimmy G is definitely gone.
Yeah,
I would imagine he's going to the Raiders or something. I've been hearing, but I mean, you never know. I mean, when we got about a month and a bit before the free agency opens up. So let's see what happens. I mean, biggest thing is for Purdy to get healthy and get ready and get back to where he can be that's the main thing, I guess, for you guys anyways.
So do you think Geno Smith, do y'all think he's your future, or are you think you're looking in the draft for another quarterback?
I think they'll try to re-sign Geno Smith. I mean, the day after they got eliminated by the Niners, he was in the gym working out. You know, I mean, he made it to the Pro Bowl. He said he wants to be there. I mean, the fans totally took him in, right? Even when he was throwing picks there, when he had that little bad stretch there, right? He wasn't getting. I mean, you didn't hear the boos or anything along that line. I mean, you actually heard Geno chants last year when he came in. I think it was against the Rams when Wilson got hurt. You know, he went and walked him down, got a touchdown, and he had the Geno chants. And then, I mean, hey, man, he beat Russell Wilson in game 1. And, I mean, I think if they can find a way to sign him, $30-35 million, I think is what the number's looking at for a couple of years. I mean, you do what you do. I mean, you don't know what you can get as a quarterback out of the draft. I mean, you can get a guy who's in the 6th round that could be a stud for the next 10 years. You know, you don't know what you get from young players and how they develop.
Yeah. Okay. Brian got another question. Do you think Pete or Mike is a better coach for the Seahawks, or is it even a tie?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, obviously, the philosophy is kind of the same, right? Run the ball, get defense. They both took a team to the Super Bowl. Obviously, Pete won the Super Bowl with the way it was. I mean, Holmgren was a no-nonsense guy, right? He saw talent. And then when he left, they brought Moore in for a year and they fired him. And then they brought Carroll in. And, I mean, he made, I think, between Snyder, because they also brought in the GM, he made like 272 moves within the first couple couple of weeks or a couple of months when they hired him on. But I mean, I would say you'd have to give it to Pete just a little bit more because he did bring home a championship. I mean, in my books, it's if you can win the big game, it's always a bonus for along that line of for where the standard is. I mean, you got great coaches who might never ever make it to the Super Bowl, right? So,
Yeah.
just the way I look at it.
Tommy, hey Tommy, how you doing? Thank you for coming in. And hit that like button if you're enjoying the show. Tommy Huxley, he's a jokester. He likes to make jokes. So I don't haven't. He says, "Where is the toilet seat?" I don't know what he mean by that, but he might be talking about y'all stayed in the toilet seat. He's a 49er fan.
Or the Montreal Canadian symbol. I mean, I don't know. I mean, hey, man, I live on an acreage, so I just go outside, and if I got to relieve myself, so, you know, lots of bushes.
Oh,
you mean he means the can of whoop ass that happens there quite regularly, so.
Yeah. Brian says, "What's up, Tommy?" Tommy Brian, I don't understand people who don't know where the like button is. LL. He's probably on his phone. When you're on your phone, you cannot see the like button. You have to take off the chats and then hit the like button. Unless you're on the computer and the computer shows it right underneath.
Yep.
Tommy, Ryan, David, me are doing a show later tonight if you interested. Oh, okay. I gotta hang with the old lady tonight. Birmingham. It's my night not going to bed at 9. LOL. I hear you. Happy wife, happy life. Exactly.
I do agree with that one.
Yep. Tommy just doesn't like me. Tommy, he's a cool guy. Okay, have you ever met a Seahawks player?
No, I've never had the opportunity of meeting Seahawks players because of where I live in Northern Alberta. But I mean, I went to Toronto when the Seahawks played the Bills, and I met Thurman Thomas and Jim Kelly, a few of those guys. But overall, I just don't get the chance to where I live to see a lot. And when I do go down there, they're either busy doing stuff or, I mean, if I'm going to Seattle for a few days, you're going there to taking the view, whatever, drink some micro brews, right? Enjoy your holidays. I mean, if there is ever a chance or a signing somewhere, I mean, for sure I would definitely go. But I mean, I live in a little acreage way up in Northern Alberta, so I don't really get the opportunity to meet any professional player, anyways. But
Okay. Do you feel the Seahawks are going to make the playoffs next season?
Well, I guess like I say, time will tell. I mean, if they can build on what they have this year. I mean, you look at the NFC West, it'll be a 2-horse race. I don't think Arizona's got. I mean, who knows what Kyle Murray's going to do? And I mean, the Rams, they have no picks. I mean, you're hearing Jalen Ramsey's going to get traded, but what are you going to get from it? I can't see anybody giving a first-round pick for Jalen Ramsey, right? I think Stafford said he's coming back. Is Aaron Donald going to retire? It's, along that line. I mean, you got the NFC East is going to be this year again. I mean, you have Philly I mean, now Philly's going to have a tougher schedule, so we'll see how that works. You got the Cowboys, right? Giants look good. I mean, Washington was up and coming. Now they got the OC from KC. I don't think there's too much of a threat from the north or from the south, to be honest. So I do see them. I can see them making the playoffs as a wild card. I mean, right now, if the Niners, if they get Purdy back, I mean, their offense with McCaffrey, with Debo Sanders, with Kittle is top right now. You know, that defense is pretty nasty. But I mean, like I said, all it takes is a couple injuries, and the whole season changes, right? I mean, it happens every year. You know, I mean, Seattle could lose Geno in game one, and we could be in trouble the rest of the year. You just never know.
Yeah, that's true. Tommy, my wife, Tony, and I like to be color. We will listen to the Niners YouTube channels and color. We enjoy being around each other. Yep.
Yep.
Oh boy. Yeah, that like he does. Brian and his wife, like I said, they made me that hat.
Nice.
It's got my name on the front. It's got the 49 symbol on top. And he made me a coffee cup. So I don't know if he
Perfect.
makes Seahawks stuff.
It's tough with the color scheme. I'll tell you that much.
You know what I mean? Well, David and Tommy, let's see what's up, buddy. Ryan, you have to make, you know what I am saying, Mimi's. And my man Rudy, he's a Round fan. Props, Corey
Oh,
Davis.
welcome, Rudy.
Yeah, he's a Rams fan. He does his show. He's called
Nice.
Ram Sports Report.
So check it out. I like hearing channels other teams are, right? See what you can learn from them, right? I mean, there might be a player that you haven't really heard about that makes a statement in the preseason that, you know, that gets overlooked. So,
Yeah. Okay. What team in the NFC West do you dislike the most and why?
well, the number one team I dislike the most is the Denver Broncos. Because when they're in the AFC West, that was the rival, right? Denver and Seattle. But I mean, over the years, right, you do have the Niners as the main rival of the Seahawks. I mean, the Rams were in St. Louis before they went to LA. And I mean, the Cardinals really haven't been, there's never really been I don't think a rivalry between those two. But it's been the Niners and the Seahawks. I mean, for the longest time we've always seen the great battles between the two. I mean, we saw the overtime games where I think 2 years ago when I think Robbie Gould kicked that ball, missed total left, went into the entrance, right? And then Myers missed one, and, you know, back and forth. I'd have to put the Niners up there. I wouldn't say Denver, I can't stand, right? Niners, I mean, I know you're getting a good game when it's coming up to it. You know, for the most part, it's going to be a well coached game on both sides. I mean, it's going to be a physical battle. You know, that would be number two, I guess, would be the Niners, and then you'd have the Rams, and then you'd have the Cardinals if it is going in the NFC West. You know, I mean, but I mean that's the one thing about St. Louis is they've always played Seattle tough too when they were over there, right? And you would go into their barn. And I mean, yeah, you travel a bit over there, and I mean, they would always be there kicking and screaming till the end. You know, I mean, I think it's the Rams or Cardinals. One year they took down the Seattle Seahawks undefeated season at home. So, right, I mean, that's what makes division games so great, so important, right? It's always a battle. You know what you're getting. Now this year is Arizona gonna be this tough? I can't see it. Let's see what happens to Murray. I mean, they're looking at Trey Hopkins, right? JJ is retired. We'll see what I mean. Are the Cardinals doing a rebuild? But I haven't really felt there's a rivalry there between the Cards and the Seahawks. Even when the Cards were a good team there a few years ago, and they're going back and forth. So
Okay. Yeah. My mostly disliked teams was, I'm sorry, the Seahawks.
well, hey man, we walked in that division, and I mean, the stats don't lie, right? 9 division
Yeah.
titles, 15 playoff appearances, 3 NFC championships.
Yeah.
You know, it's after coming right into that division where the Niners before, I think they owned that division for the longest time.
Yeah, now this Seahawks right now own us. Even though we did, do you remember what you said when I sent you a message said the 49ers are going to sweep the Seahawks?
I don't know, was I drinking?
Huh?
Was I drinking on days off?
You said,
I mean,
no,
you know what?
it's not going to happen.
Yep. I mean, I wasn't expecting, like I said, I was expecting 6 wins from the Seahawks this year. I mean, and San Fran was a team that I thought the Rams were going to definitely be in there this year, and it just, didn't work out for them. And the Niners, I mean, they lost to Denver there. They were what, 3-3 or something along that line, and they went out and reeled off 10 straight wins. I mean, it's something that, and I mean, they got Trey Lance got hurt against Seattle. Then they brought in Jimmy G, and he was on fire till he got hurt, and then you brought in Purdy. So it's definitely. I mean, the rivalry's there, right, and it will be there. I think the one that really built it was when Jim Harbaugh and Pete Carroll were going at it. Had 2 great teams going at it.
Yep.
I mean, you can't forget that championship in 2014 between the Seahawks and the Niners. I mean, that was exciting football as you can get, right down to the wire.
And remember to say, great guess. If the Rams
Thank you.
and 49ers are both healthier, the Rams and the 49ers fight for the division. And the other team defaults to the wild card. I see the Seahawks as overachievers last year, and the Cards struggling.
Yeah, I mean, that defense was young. We'll see how they build on it. I mean, Kenneth Walker, I mean, if you can have the same year as he did last year, you get the running game. Biggest thing is Seattle has to stop the run. I mean, they have to stop the ball when they're on the defensive side. I mean, it's we're going to win games if you can't do that. And especially in this league and in today's game anyways.
Yes, Big Mac Sports, what's up? And yes, that's my other team that I really dislike.
All right, so
Cowboys.
Here's my question to you: What team do you dislike or hate the most? Cowboys or Seahawks?
Cowboys.
Well, there you go. So, I mean, for me, it's the Broncos. It's right AFC West rivals for years, and like I said, being in the Super Bowl is probably is the icing on the cake. And now you look at the XFL and you look at the Seattle team's colors, and they look like the Broncos. I'm like, well, that's not going to sell. Like, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
It's just.
Let me see. Yep. Have you subscribed to my channel?
Yep, I've subscribed to your channel, so we're all good to go. I watch watch you every once in a while there when I get time. I mean, I'm working busy lives right now and things like that. So with my industry, but I do try to catch there, and you've had some great guests. I do like I said, I do like listening to all different types of sports and podcasts. Right? I mean, I try getting in as many Facebook groups as I can. I mean, I'm not going to sit there and be like, I'm a homer and all that stuff, because I'll tell you how it is too, right? I mean, if the Seahawks go 14-3 in a couple of years, yeah, I'm going to expect something big, right? But I mean, I also tell you that we are weak on the defensive side of the ball, and we are young, and if they don't get Geno signed, what are they going to do? It's, there's a lot of questions coming up that should be answered once free agency starts here. We'll see if they extend Geno, and we'll see what the draft brings. I mean, Hawks have a player on the board that's gone. Maybe they trade down and they get a bunch more picks. I mean, it's something they've been known to do.
Okay, let me see. David McNine says Cal Petty's, but the hate how the local TV always shows the Broncos games, even when they are trash.
They are trash. So,
And question for guest Corey: What is his Mount Rushmore's of the Seahawks great players? See, you should have tuned in earlier. I already answered that
well,
question.
I did say
Like,
Largent. I went Largent, Alexander. And then I went off the board. I said, hey, man, the Legion of Boom. It was great to watch them play. And then I went Paul Allen because he saved the Seahawks after they moved to Anaheim in midnight and bought the team and built that stadium, right, and really turned everything around. I mean, we're talking, if that didn't happen, that there's maybe a bunch of teams in California and nothing in Seattle. So that's, I don't know, maybe it's a cop or whatever. I mean, there's a lot of good players. I mean, you put Easley in, Walter Jones, Cortez Kennedy, guys like that we're discussing earlier. But it's tough to narrow down to four.
yeah.
You know, I mean, Marshawn Lynch, when he had the Beastquake there, really, after they had a losing record for the division that year and beat the Saints, the Super Bowl champs from the year before, in an exciting game. So,
have you ever met Norcam or CZA Smith or Noah? They are YouTubers. They talk about the Seahawks. They are Seahawks fans. Norcam,
I haven't met.
He always at the games.
Yeah, I haven't met a lot of them. Right, sometimes I tune into the podcast, see what's going on. I mean, it's once baseball season hits, I do a lot more of the baseball. I mean, I can try to watch as many games as I can. I just love the sport, right? But I'll try to catch as many podcasts as I can, whether they're on Spotify or whether they're on YouTube. Like I say, I love hearing the like the insides of how the teams are, right? Because I mean, like you say, right, there's players that I might not know about because it's playing for, say, down in Carolina, because we don't get a lot of that coverage. Or you get onto a podcast, some guy says something, you're like, you know what, yeah, that guy is good, right? So,
And Noah, he made a bet with my guy, CG Ruthless Sports. If my guy David McNanny was on here, he'll show you a picture of him. He bet CG Ruthless Sports or CG Ruthless 49er, whichever which way you want to go. He betted him, and he had whoever team won had to pie himself in the face.
oh, wow. See, I don't bet anymore, so
He got pied in the face with whipped cream.
Perfect.
It wasn't a real pie, but
yeah,
in the face. And David, he snapshot that picture, and so sometimes when he's on my show, he shows that picture of Noah. And that's another thing you can check out. They got CG AZ Sports Fan, and he used to be the Ram. I don't know if he's gonna be doing it anymore. His name was Pale Time. I think he's where you from?
Where am I from?
Yeah. That's where I think Pale Time is.
Alberta, Canada, so northern Alberta. I live north of Bonnyville and Cold Lake in a little hamlet. So I'm from Medicine Hat.
From Canada.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of Seahawks podcasts, whether I'd have to see the faces, right? So, I scroll in there, see what's going on.
Yeah. So if you can, they probably gonna start this because they haven't been doing those shows lately. They probably gonna start back up when football in the it's called the NFC West Network.
I'll listen to it. Yeah. So, how did you feel when Rice was a second, Sherman and Niner? Interesting times. It's like you kind of. It's like that Freaky Friday movie, but I mean, I think it's funny because you had Wagner go to the Rams after he got cut. Which I mean, I love Wagner. I mean, it's you know, I got his jersey too, and I mean, the guy's just nonstop, just compete, compete, compete. Sherman, I mean, what can you say about him? I mean, he put on. I mean, he wore his heart on his sleeve as a Seahawk, and when he went down to the Niners, it was. I mean, I'm not going to get mad because they go and play for the rival, right? I mean, I'm going to wish everybody the best of luck, and if we beat you, we beat you. If we don't, we don't. And I mean, I think Sherman got 1 win out of 4, I think, against the Niners in his time with the Niners there against the Seahawks, and I mean, he did well. He bet on himself. Where I'll say Russell wanted out. I mean, it's tough to, I mean, and he got booed, and everyone's like, well, you shouldn't have been booed. I'm like, well, you know what? What do you think the fans are going to do? They're not going to sit there and cheer and stuff, right? So, where Wagner got, I think Wagner did get a stand ovation. It's, I mean, some players get it. I mean, even Marshawn Lynch got it. Yep. Gotta love those bets, eh?
Do you see the picture? Do you
Yep.
see the picture?
Oh, I see it. Yep. Oh, I mean, seeing Rice in there, it was weird seeing Rice as a Seahawk, right? But I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, you're going to play, right? It's, I know some guys get mad because one player goes to a division, says, I hope that he doesn't, whatever, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh, whatever. I wish the best on you. It's a business, right? So, and whatnot. So,
sorry, I'm a CK from WK, LOL. CG Sport is a good sports, LOL. He plays his betting debts, LOL. Yep, he does.
Thanks.
You mean this picture of Noah? Yes.
Nice.
He's a Seahawks fan, that guy. Not David McNiner, but that's Noah.
No, the other guy. Yep.
He's college student.
I mean,
Bobby Wagner player. Well, last season he was at gym in the injury plague year.
Yeah, he was. I mean, I'll say right now, I love Wagner, and I mean that guy's going up in the Hall of Fame for Seattle. I mean, the guy played with another guy who played a heart on his sleeve, always the league in tackles every year. Played down there every game. I know one year he had a toe injury for a bit, but I mean the guy's a beast. Got drafted in the 2nd round. I mean, when he got cut, it was kind of the way he got cut. I'll say it pissed me off, right? I mean, but then he went down, signed with the Rams, and it's, what? I mean, he got a stand ovation, I think, for when he came back, and to Seattle. I mean, Seattle, the Seahawks fans love him, and he's always been loyal. He's always been truthful, and I mean, he deserves wherever he goes. I wish him the best of luck, and I mean, it's, even I think that game where he played against Seattle, where he had a fumble recovery or something along that line. I mean, he played well. So,
yes, thank you, Ramalia. Thank you,
Yep.
Rudy. Hit everyone. Make sure you hit that like button. Great stream, Corey. Later, fellas. On my way home from work.
All right, well, stay safe out there. Drive safe however you're getting home, man. It was nice meeting you. I'll have to check out on your guys' podcast as well.
Yep. Let me see. I didn't think about this when you said Denver is your hateful team. How do you feel about that? Y'all traded Russell Wilson to your hated team.
I know I was in shock, but I'll tell you what, man. It was it's one of the greatest fleeces of the world. I mean, you robbed Denver of picks, players for Russell Wilson, who ended up having a terrible year. And again, I wish him the best. I mean, obviously, when you got a first round on the line and they kept losing, you're just like, just keep on losing, keep on losing. I mean, I'd rather see Denver lose all the time. But I mean, it was a shock. But I mean, honestly, they came up with the best offer, and Elway wanted, or somebody wanted a quarterback. They don't make their own quarterbacks in Denver. They have to fly them in. They tried to make their own, and it didn't work. So they had Manning, then they brought in Wilson. So it's something that we'll see what happens this year when they got Sean Payton there. I mean, he's already kicked out Wilson's personal quarterback coach. So obviously there's changes coming there. I mean, and Wilson's got, I mean, I think when the running back went down for Denver, that hurt a lot too, because now you got to put the ball in Wilson's hand, and you're going up against three great teams in the AFC West. Kansas City, the Chargers. I mean, even the Raiders seem to have good and come out and flying. So, but it was tough to watch, right? But I mean, I'll wish every player that plays that best of luck. And I mean, Wilson wanted out.
Yeah.
So I didn't wear his jersey at all this year because I knew it's like, you know what, there's a pick coming. Keep on losing. Let's get those picks higher, right? So, but I mean, yeah, we'll see what happens next year. Russell Wilson, the only team he may never beat will be the Seattle Seahawks. You got to think in 4 years or 3 years when they play him again, I guess now the resets, right? I mean, is Wilson going to be with the Broncos, or is Seattle going to be a definitely a good team then, given 4 years from now when they play? And you're playing in Denver, we'll see what happens.
Okay. Let me see. Anybody in the audience have any questions? Because that's all my questions. Anybody in the audience have any more questions? Or are you? Oh, I got one more question. That flame, is that real fire back there?
Oh, that's just my fan going.
Oh, that's just a fan.
Yeah, and the lights and all that. So.
Okay, I'm thinking, don't you want to move that Seahawks fan thing? I thought
that's on the other side of the divide. So we're all good. So it's not just the fan to keep the heat out. I mean, hey man, it gets to -40 up here sometimes. Got to keep the heat in the garage. It gets cold up here. So okay, who's your quarterback coming out in the draft? I don't know if I don't know if they will draft a quarterback. I mean, Bruce Young, CJ Stroud. If they re-sign Geno, then I don't think they go for a quarterback this year. I mean, they got to go pass rush for sure. I think they got to shore up that offensive line before they do anything. I mean, and who knows what do the Bears do, right? Do they trade Fields first and foremost and take Young, or what do we see here, right? So I think it's going to be. I think it all depends on if Geno re-signs. What they do. I think if they have Geno, they got Drew Luck. I can't see them. They might just get an undrafted rookie quarterback that comes over. Kind of like what they do in the past as a backup.
Okay. Let's see. No more questions yet. Still. I think a lot of them going to No Border Sports, probably starting this show pretty soon. Let me see. Okay, where again? How to pronounce your name? And where they can find you again? What's the media?
On Facebook, JC Bezruhawk. I'm under Corey's friend there. You'll see it on the post there. We also run our own podcasts, do all sports at the JC and Bill Sportscast. And the history and legacy of sports is another one we do. And then from time to time go on other people's shows or whatever. But that's where you can find me. The real Bezruhawk on Twitter is another one. And that's about it for my social footprint in the world.
Okay. So when y'all don't broadcast on YouTube, huh? When you do your broadcasting,
Pardon me?
you don't do broadcasting on YouTube, right?
No, we do podcasts that we put over onto Spotify, and then I think we do a video Zoom one that they post on YouTube, I believe, or somewhere on the history and legacy of sports. But we have a Facebook page for both. So we have a Facebook page for the history and legacy of sports, and for the JC and Bill Sportscast. That one we have is public. I think the other one is for some reason private, the history and sports. But you can find us on the JC and Bill Sportscast, where me and my buddy Bill Yankoe or Y or whatever is we talk all types of sports: baseball, hockey, football. We'll talk a little bit of wrestling. We'll if there's some stuff through the news over the last few weeks, we'll discuss. Right? There's things like that. So we kind of try to hit everything once in a while. Do our polls. Baseball's coming up, so we're gonna have a bunch of baseball polls coming up. Who's gonna win the league, win the divisions, things like that. So it's exciting times coming. You got the NFL free agency, and then we got the NFL draft, which is always good.
Oh, one more question. I just thought of it. If you was the 49ers, who will be your starting quarterback in 2023? Out of Trey Lance and Brock Purdy.
Well, they bet the farm on Trey Lance, didn't they? They traded away all those picks to move up to get him.
Yeah.
I would say you probably have to roll with Trey Lance, but I mean, you justify drafting a guy first in the first round and giving up all those first round picks. You're going to want to give him a second shot. But I mean, if he falters anything, Purdy's coming in, unless somehow they can find someone who's going to trade for Trey Lance. But I mean, with his injury too, that's going to be right. You might not get a first for him or whatever they decide they might offer. So I would say Trey Lance just to see what's going on, just because of the value of the position and where they got him. But I mean, look at Seattle, right? When they had Russell Wilson, they drafted him third round. They signed Matt Flynn to a huge contract, and Russell Wilson was a starting quarterback game one of the 2012 season. So you never know. I mean, I guess we'll see what happens with Purdy's injury, with Trey Lance's injury. I know Jimmy G won't be there, so I mean, it could be neither. It could be somebody else, as far as we know, right?
Yep.
So,
would you take Jimmy G on your team?
Would I take Jimmy G on the team? He's a good quarterback, but I don't know. I mean, he can run. He can definitely make some plays. Is he capable of winning big games? I guess time will tell. I wasn't really a big high up on him to begin with when he came over from Green Bay. What did you guys trade? I think a first round for him as well, didn't you? Or sorry, the Patriots. The Patriots.
I think it was like a second round.
Yeah, so it's. I mean, he can play, right? But I think his attention is his attention more off the field than on the field. I don't. Right? Yeah. I mean, he came in and he played well this year.
Yep. I think it's mostly with the 49 fans is his availability. I know with me it's his availability. Injured. He might.
Yep.
And he get hurt. But he is a good quarterback. But I don't think
yes.
I don't think he could take us over the hump.
No, I mean you guys have a great offensive team with Kittle, with Deebo Sanders, with Ayuka, right? Yeah, if I can pronounce that right, and with McCaffrey back there, right? I mean, Mitchell, took a step back. I mean, you know, you even saw in the playoff games where Mitchell couldn't get nothing going, but you get the ball to McCaffrey, and that guy can run all over.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I mean, it makes a difference too.
And see,
But I mean,
that's the thing about Mitchell now. We dealing with him. He's a good running back. Oh, he can run the ball.
yep,
But every year, injuries. You know,
yep,
just like he was injured for the playoff game. We go in the playoff, we can't use him because he's out injured.
yep.
So that's why I'm looking. And we got a running back named Jordan Mason. And you know, all the 49 fans look at him. We say, you know, he is wearing Marshawn Lynch number 24. But way he runs reminds us of him.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you need a beast back there, right? Who's going to bowl people over. I mean, you guys traded what, Wilson over to the Dolphins.
Yep.
So, you know, and then you got McCash, which was a huge trade for San Fran, right? I mean, like you said, the biggest thing is you don't have to pay Purdy a lot of money for another 3 years.
Yep.
And there's going to be some guys' contracts coming up that you're going to want to try to keep or restructure, yep. Right? I mean, yep, Kittle's a big one if he can stay healthy.
Nick
right?
Bosa.
Yep.
We got Nick Bosa. And then we got Brandon Ayuk. He's going to be the next one. If we keep him and if we are looking to trade him, I don't know. There was rumors that they might trade him. I'm hoping not because he's a good receiver.
Yeah, you need guys who are reliable and are good. I mean, look at Tyler Lockett for the Seahawks. The guy's always been reliable, right? I mean, the 1 year he broke his leg. But that, he's always been there. I mean, he's that guy that will get you the first need it, right? He's the one that's going to take the big hits. He's the one that's going to do what he needs to do to try to win. You know, yeah. Same with the way Doug Baldwin was when he played with the Seahawks too. He was, you know, it was more about the team than him. And that's rare when you get to wide receivers because it's mostly about the wide receiver himself than not the team.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Well, thank you for having me. That was fun.
Yep. We've been on here for so far an hour and 17 minutes.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yep.
And thanks for all the people who came and watched and the questions. You know, like I said, I don't get fired up. I don't try to give anyone ammunition, right? I'll tell it as it is. You know, I'm not a overall homer on my team. If there's a problem, I'm going right, and I try to, you know, I'll try to answer questions on other teams too as best as I can. I know maybe I see it a little different than others. That's what opinions are. That's what podcasts are for, is we listen to it, right? So it's been a pleasure. Thank you for having me, and it was fun.
Yep. Yeah, it's fun. I have a ball doing this.
Perfect.
And I'd like to again thank all. Go 49ers.
Go Seahawks, man. It'll be a fun year. We'll put it that way. Let's see the Seahawks can knock out another draft like we did last year.
Thank you, Big Man Sports. Thank you, Ramalia. Thank you, Brian, Tommy, No Border Sports. And I think I said Brian Cup already. Jeff. And I think that's everybody. If I miss out, and I know probably got some people that came in, probably didn't type or say nothing.
Thank you for watching and having me on. It was fun.
All right. See you later. I'm probably go see No Border Sports doing his show now.
Right. I gotta go find a bush and then listen to some music and then go to bed.
Yeah. All right.